name is Jimmy Johnson, and this is my superfood, panini pasta. The recipe I shall prepare is simply just a regular spaghetti and pasta. For the sake of brevity, I have already started heating the pot. Since this is going to be a very small portion, you don't really need anything too long. Alright, so the recipe is simple. One pot, any oil you need, and fill the water up to the close to the top, but you don't want to be too high or else it will boil over, and you don't want that kind of mess, especially with oil. Next, I use canola oil for this particular batch because I don't have any other oil at the moment. Next, we will be using panini pasta for the source of spaghetti, and we want to first wait for the water to boil, and once it starts bubbling, we shall begin adding contents. And that's the end of part 1. Welcome back. As you can see, the pot is finally boiled, and now I shall begin adding the ingredients. Pause. Action. First, we'll be adding salt, and then we should be adding these cubes. Then, garlic salt, Italian spice, more Italian spaghetti spice, pepper, salt, basil, oregano leaves, and yet more Italian spices. So we will add all of this, and after we are done with that, we shall then add the meatballs, and last, the spaghetti. These things are really hard, so you have to squish them before dropping them in. You don't want to drop them in solid, or else it won't mix well. This one's stubborn. Sometimes you gotta open it wider. That's the first one. I'm adding 2, but you can probably just get away with just using 1. As it sounded to me trying to pound 1 into existence. Opening it up, and then, see, that one went easier. Make sure to get all of the contents out, because some of it likes to hide. Next, adding the salt. Again, this is a relatively small portion, so you don't need too much salt. However, I will add as much as I need to get more flavor out of it. The garlic. Even though we are going to stir it, it's always good to spread it around. Next, the first Italian spices. Next, the second part of the Italian spices. The cap decided to not cooperate. And yes, I know this says one of them will be pizza related, but I say it works better. I say it works still. Next is the oregano leaves. The caps are finicky. Now I'm adding the basil. And now you might be wondering, it kind of looks the same. That is correct. But that does not mean they will not give the flavor. And now a little salt. And now the pepper. Now, you can go overboard with the pepper and it'll pretty much dominate the taste. However, I tend to do a bit light. But pepper has a lot of health benefits to it, so you could go overboard if you want. Okay, and that's all the spices. So now I shall stir a couple of times just to get all the flavors mixed up. Oop, that's not good. And now I shall add, thank you, I shall add the spaghetti. Careful for splashing. Now last, I shall add the meatballs. The amount you want is solely dependent on you. I will not use all of them right now. I will save it for another batch that I plan to eat in the future. But if you have a family, I would suggest getting a bigger pot and just dumping all the contents. Yeah, it seems that will be enough. Now one more. Now I shall begin stirring them yet again. Now this is the important part. We are probably going to have to wait at least 10 minutes to 30 so it can soften up the macaroni for to be edible at least. The meatballs, however, just need to cook since they're already done for the most part. Now, despite me adding the canola oil, it is important to continue stirring it lightly. So I would recommend standing next to it and just periodically just stir and try to dig to the bottom of the pot so nothing, including the macaroni, especially the macaroni, will stick to it. Even with the canola oil, that's the whole point of putting that in there, to soften it. But it will stick to the pot if left unattended, and as you can already see, we're at the highest max for temperature. So yes, do that periodically, every 30 seconds to a minute. And just let it sit for a while. Okay, stop it. And let's see. Oh, hello, I didn't see you there. Well, good thing you came, because it's about done boiling. The water's already gone down, so now I shall strain it using this giant strainer. Want to go. As you can tell, the pot is already scorching, so that's why I'm having oven mitts on. Now from there, we shall drain as much water as possible. Just need to remove. Also, for clarification, I am using panini pasta as a substitute for regular spaghetti. But this recipe is essentially making spaghetti. I'm just substituting the spaghetti noodles for the panini macaroni. And now I shall insert, after straining the water, I shall now insert the pasta back into the pot. I'll probably do this slowly because I don't want to spill. Ooh. Careful not to spill. As you can see, I'm using a bowl underneath the strainer, just not to create a huge mess and dirt replacement. You want to slowly get it in there. And now, I shall add the sauce. I use Prego for the most part. Regular, traditional. I'm not a fan of any other variant that adds a bunch of other ingredients. Regular tomato sauce is fine. Now, this might seem big, a big quantity, but as I've learned throughout my years, it's important to have a lot of sauce. Because if you mix a little bit of sauce, you're not going to get enough flavor from it. I was just using all of it, unless you're willing to save for later dates. Make sure to empty out the entire content, all the contents. Right. And now, we shall begin stirring once more. Unfortunately, I need to grab an oven mitt because the handles are still hot and the stove is on. The goal is to just make sure all the noodles and the meatballs are just smothered in the sauce. Get under and over, turning it like this, like you're digging inside. Also, make sure the oven or stove isn't too hot, or else it will burn the sauce and the macaroni. Won't burn the meatballs though; those things are pretty sturdy. Also, don't worry too much if you're breaking the macaroni or the meatballs. When you notice that every nook and cranny is covered in sauce, I would think that's when you would stop. Like I said, you might want to dig just to make sure, because there are some that can escape the sauce. Now let's say that's good enough. Now, I would just let it sit for a bit. Don't immediately grab a spoonful just yet. Put this here and let it cook a bit. You might want to drop it to low on the stove. And that's essentially the first part done. You're going?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. Now you can see I have already prepared a plate, and I have two choices of adding either. Well, I mostly go with Parmesan, and if it's possible, any form of shredded cheese. Mozzarella is another one. But typically, this is pretty much a done. This is a done product, and so we have come to the end of this project. This is my superfood, Penne pasta. Thank you for watching, and enjoy.